Exactly, dude. Exactly. Lots of people angry. They're upset. They're passionate. The passion is high. They've been let down all year. We'll get started in a few minutes. So Mer NZ Bitcoin, is that New Zealand? I think so. What time is it in New Zealand? It's got to be like, is it morning time? Late night? I always forget. They have such a weird time frame, time zone over there. Love New Zealand. Yeah, the macro side from P on Twitter. Um, Macro helps color your decision making process, at least it should. I mean, you can't ignore US interest rates, you can't ignore global liquidity. You just can't. We're too big. It was easier to ignore that stuff when we were smaller, even though when we were smaller, we were still getting batted around by macro. It's just you got to be careful who you listen to on the macro side because there are a lot of macro tourists who generally have been just wrong for years. I mean, no joke. I listen to these people every day just because I want to make sure I'm on the other side. I want to hear their argument, but my God, they've been wrong for so long. It's just, what's the saying? Like, no, uh, bears sound smart, bulls make money, something like that. The macro trade has been long energy, which has been a disaster. The macro trade has been What's the other thing they love? I guess the dollar. Long the dollar. That's been a disaster. They've been short equities, or they've been underweight equities, they've been underweight tech. This is going on years for the macro people. Years. So when events happen like the yen carry trade unwind or geopolitical tensions rising, all of a sudden they come out and they're on all these podcasts, their newsletters become relevant. But in reality, they've just been wrong. They've been wrong. It's like a broken clock is right twice a day, right? So you can't ignore the macro stuff for risk management purposes, but to solely rely on that for your entire positioning is not what I've seen work personally. Yeah, Matteo, there are just so many people who are. Look, I hear the bearish arguments. I get it. The bearish arguments get the views. They got the flames on the thumbnails. Everything is just sky is falling type stuff. They have no way to parse between events that are truly terrible and events that, well, they may seem terrible or they may seem like they have an effect, just really don't seem to have much of an effect. Or they should have an effect. They're kind of underestimating the amount of bailouts, basically, that the government is willing to do. It's like, okay, yeah, sure. If anything gets bad enough, the government's going to step in. Oil gets high enough, the government's going to release the SPR. Right? You can go down the list. Things get bad enough, the government will step in. And that's not exactly capitalism, but this is the world we're living in, right? So Blake, guess we should get started here. I was just kind of assembling here for the thumbnails. I was kind of assembling the situation for the day here. Well, we had the best September on record. People came into October saying, whenever September's bullish, the next 3 months are bullish. On record, I said, I'll believe that when I see it. Q4 historically is always bullish for the most part when post-halving election years, right? We can look at this. We can look at all this stuff. We can say this, that, and the other thing. But when you're living through it, it's difficult because this is not up only. This is not exactly a bullish tradable environment. I'm trying to find, here it is. 2020 huge bullish Q4, 2016 bullish Q4. Both of those are halving years. You can go back even further. They don't have 2012 on here, but those have all been bullish. We can look at month over month, September, October, right? Everybody's probably heard all this already. We're 3 days in, and we pulled back a significant amount, let's say. Things don't look great, admittedly. We're losing the cloud. We're in this ugly downward channel. We've got geopolitical tensions that are getting worse and not better, that are escalating to the point where all of a sudden the macro people are going to sound like geniuses, right? It's because, yeah, like Israel's attacking Iranian nuclear sites potentially. They're attacking a Russian airbase in Syria. like what are we even doing? What are we doing, right? So yeah, you can't ignore that stuff. But the issue is we've had geopolitical stuff happening since 2022, right? Now, if you would have said since 2022, again, I'm going to sit out. I think it was was it February 22? I can't remember when Russia invaded Ukraine. But yeah, you take that stuff seriously. It's important. But if you just sat out of markets since then, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And it looks worse on the legacy side of things. It's just, unfortunately, up here, every time we're at this diagonal, there's some reason to do something. Something's going on, We haven't had a clean break of this diagonal. We just haven't. So it's both, right? It's technicals, which are clearly saying, hey, we're making a series of lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. And each time we are up there, we are given a reason, the market is given a reason to sell off each time. I think this was US government selling. I could be wrong about the timing of this, but this was Germany. This was one other thing I was going to map on here was other markets stealing our thunder. I think May, somewhere in here was Nvidia, new Nvidia all-time highs. Somewhere over here, I'll take a look, but somewhere over here was gold. I forget where. Gold making all-time highs. Now we've got China stimulus in Chinese markets. So not only do we have bearish macro events at highs, but we also have other markets that are hotter and sexier than we are stealing our thunder. And I've said this for a little while, but we need a little bit of speculative momentum to push us out of this channel. Like we need something to push us out of this. Something. Pulling back after going straight up in September makes sense. Okay, that's fine. The geopolitical stuff just happened to line up with that. Typically, that's what you see when the technicals line up with a catalyst, like stuff happens, right? So this isn't like out of the ordinary to see a pullback. It's just at this point, the number of times we have quickly given up at any high is kind of maddening, you know? Just because we've been in this range for so long. But back to the speculative stuff. We need some of that speculative money, a little bit of it, because it doesn't look like the institutional money wants to bid the middle of this range to me. It doesn't look like the institutional money wants to push us out of this range just yet. So until we get our turn, whenever that is, let me just check when the gold stuff broke out because I'm curious. So gold broke out in March. So yeah, that's right. Just as BTC topped, we basically, you know, if we were a relay team in the hard asset Olympics, right? We are just passing the baton from Bitcoin to gold. Typically, 3 months after gold breaks out, gold passes the baton back to us. So we're well past that point. Maybe it's 3 months after gold stops breaking out. It doesn't necessarily have to be like this, but it certainly is, right? Like the better story has been gold. Gold is at an all-time high, pushing all-time highs almost every day, every week. It's outperformed everything this year. Certainly outperformed BTC, right? So outside of seasonality, outside of the ETFs, like we need a catalyst. We need something, right? Something. It's the mother of all price channels. I agree. All right, let me catch up with chat. What's up, Bruno? Thanks for stopping by, everybody. If you're on Twitter, I can see your texts, your messages, so feel free to ask me anything you want. Do I think we'll go to the low of the trend line again? Well, that's the issue, right? It's like, okay, we've played this song and dance before, so the market in aggregate, you know, they know what to do here, right? We either wait till the middle of the trend channel to bid, or we go back to the bottom and wait there to bid. But we're kind of in no man's land. Not only that, but this channel is also broadening, so it makes everything harder. Don't get me wrong, I'm bullish. I'm bullish for these reasons. These reasons which are, oops. Let me find. Hold on. Let me find this. Sorry. Okay. I'm bullish for these reasons. Because interest rates still coming down. Dollar strength we'll look at. Liquidity we'll look at. The macro picture should be conducive for tailwinds. Should be. We've got the election, which, it's just one more thing, right? one more thing. Are we waiting on the election to do anything? Is that going to be the catalyst? Are we waiting on BTC options? Is that going to be the catalyst? What's going to be the catalyst here? Is it dollar below 100? Dollar's going to have a heck of a time trying to get to 100 if geopolitical stuff popping off, people flee to the dollar. So unsurprisingly, as the dollar is rebounding here, Bitcoin's going in the opposite direction, yeah, Coladels. There's Canva changed something where there's like this intro screen before you click on the thing. Anyway, yeah, Joey, 2016, 2020, definitely election years as well. And we can look at that. We can look at 2019. We can look at all this stuff. But the reality is, we need something to matter. And so far, nothing has mattered enough to pull us out of this. Not yet. Daily Cloud has been all over the place. We've never been faked out on the Daily Cloud this much. If I would have had this picture backtesting the cloud at any point in the past decade, I would have said, you know what, maybe the cloud's not it. This just doesn't happen on the daily, where we are this gross on the daily. So what you can do is go up a time frame. Now, to be fair to the cloud is not for sideways markets. It is known that the cloud gives you nonsensical signals during chop. That is known. It is not a non-trending market indicator. So we can go up a time frame, go to the 2-day, looks okay, right? Does it help you? I mean, it's not bearish. The weekly's not bearish. There's a big level at 44, which would certainly be a level to the downside should we break down, to be watching, along with the old level at 42. That's the downside risk here, to me. Again, like everybody and their mother's saying, okay, if we don't go to 100, we're going to 40. So does that offer anything new as commentary? I don't think so. The other thing to watch would be the 200 week moving average, which is also basically a 40. So that's the downside. It's also logically a complete reset of any ETF open, any ETF stuff, all the way down there. You guys missed it earlier, guys and gals. What's up? Okay. They're the leaf blowers, fully out today. Fully out. They're back. I thought they were done, but they're back. Problem is, what speculative action is there left? Well, Turk, that's kind of the issue, right? We have a time-based capitulation up here. Nobody feels as though there's any urgency to do anything because we've gone nowhere for months. And whereas other markets are doing well, right? Again, go back to the gold conversation. We can look at Nvidia. Nvidia starting to look decent again. Nobody wants to buy all-time highs. Not yet. Not yet. Maybe the election will do that. I personally don't think Trump's going to win. So what happens the week after that is going to be very interesting, price-wise. Goldilocks in the tailwind column. Yeah, I'm not in the recession camp either. So, like tomorrow we have jobs numbers. We don't want jobs numbers to be bad, as in unemployment. We don't want unemployment rising. As much as we want rates to come down, we don't want rates to come down quickly. So it's like, again, we need like this very narrow optionality of this, and then we need the markets to react positively on that. So it's just one more thing, you know? Be more bullish. Yeah, if we look on the daily, like I said, the cloud, we can also look at the Williams fractals, which I talked about in one of the videos this week. There was a fractal stop loss at 62.7 on the daily. So if you're on high leverage, that's what the fractals tell you to do, is a stop out there. If we lose the daily cloud, not exactly conducive to bullish things. But it's also been wrong the entire time on both sides. So what really matters here, I think what really matters here is the range more than anything. Yeah, we'll take a look at MSTR. See, Doc Spidey, what do I think about FXI, China large cap ETF, right? Like, people aren't focused on crypto here. They're not focused on BTC. They couldn't care. They want the fastest moving horse today. Why don't I think Trump's going to win? Because he appeals to a very narrow base of people. And it has to go his way in a bunch of places, specifically like Pennsylvania, Michigan, for him to do well. It's going to be a toss-up, but I don't think he's going to win, personally. Yeah, we can look at total 3. Do I agree with Cohen's call? Yeah, I watch his videos regularly. I respect his analysis. He's basically saying we're going to go back to the 100-day moving average because we did in, let me pull it up, hold on. We're going to go back to the 100 because we did that in 2019. Everything's like 2019. Every video he does 35 minutes on how we're replaying 2019. I'm not going to disagree that there are similarities. So the 100 week, so that'd be the 700 on the daily, right? Is that right? I can't be right. Hold on. What am I doing? Short. Is it all the way down there? Anyway, I think that's the argument, right? Because we went there in turn on your cross. Because we went there in 2019, right? He's like, okay, he talks about rates a lot. He talks about liquidity. He talks about QE versus QT a lot. I'm not going to disagree with any of that. I agree with him on dominance 100%. I agree that dominance is going higher. Will we hit the 100-day? Will we hit the 100 week, the 200 week? I mean, sure, we could. We could. I don't think it makes sense to bet on that until we start breaking down more. The risk reward is poorer. The more you bet on us breaking down, the lower we go, obviously. Shorting 53 versus shorting every single high. Yeah, possibly. We could. Sure. It's possible. Not saying it's impossible. At this point, if you told anybody any price based on what we've done in this range, I think it'd be hard to disagree with any analysis, right? We've done nothing. There are targets higher, there are targets lower. I don't think there are targets much lower than 40 that you could point to. But we could always say the measured move lower is 32 to 38, right? There's always a trade on both sides that you could take, no matter what anybody says, including me. As bullish as I am based on maybe the macro side, this is possible, right? We could break down from this range, go sub 40, wick back to 40, and then we do something, right? That's the measured move lower. Sure, right? I'm not saying it's impossible. That's not where my money's at right now. But that's there. You can't say it's not there. ETF approves an entire cycle happened with him not in office, so don't understand the doom. Well, the doom with him losing, it's kind of a double-edged sword because I think alts are in much more trouble than BTC is if Trump loses. If Gensler's the Treasury Secretary, we already know how he's acted towards crypto. So good luck with the alts on that side of the equation. The amount of spending that's going to happen, the amount of fiscal stimulus is going to be out of sight. Debt is going to be out of control. If Harris wins, if Trump wins and those tariffs take effect, inflation is going to be a problem. Neither of them want to rein in on spending. So at the end of the day, for BTC, it may not matter who wins. For alts, definitely it's going to matter. So I wouldn't want to go into the election just deep into alts. I don't like either candidate, okay? So that's just me. Plus he keeps making people angry. Sorry, just reading chat. All right, so that's BTC. We got this ultra low time frame I pulled up on Coinbase. I was trying to see if the ETFs were, are they buying, are they selling? Are there some flows that we can watch here? Right? I don't have anything left because we're at the middle of the cloud. We're already down back to the middle of the previous range. Right. I mean, what are we gonna watch here? You know, so this is it for now. You could say maybe this is a falling wedge. Maybe this whole thing is an inverted head and shoulders. It's tough because of the geopolitical stuff, right? Like if we get some headline over the weekend, what's going to sell off? Take a guess. Take a guess what's open over the weekend, right? It's going to be this. So the headlines we want to see is Israel and whoever coming to the table and saying we're not going to destroy the world anymore. That would be ideal. That would be ideal. But I'm still bullish. I'm still bullish October based on the amount of spending we're doing and the debt we have. What do I want to see this week, this upcoming week? On the cloud, as much as I'm crying over here, if we can hold the cloud, that'd be great. If we can flip the cloud fully bullish, that would be a start. We've retraced all the bullishness in September. Obviously, we've failed to break out of this double bottom, failed to break out of the triple bottom. So it's kind of just a waiting game still. It just amazes me every time so far how easily we've given up every single $1,000 level on the way down, right? Like who's defending us in either direction? Where are the sellers on the way up? You know, it's just funny. So that's why we need that speculative money to push us out of the range for whatever reason. I don't have a good reason to end this price memory of the market that says, okay, we're going to sell here, we're going to buy here, you know. $40K would be a killer. Yeah, the issue with $40K is you've got to have cash, right? So I know a lot of people who are just fully deployed, ready for liftoff, right? And they're going to be upset if we go to 40, obviously. So each individual needs their own plan. Like, okay, I'm going to cut something here. I'm going to close something here. This is my stop loss just in case, right? Again, the problem with this range is Where's your stop loss going to be? The middle of the range or the bottom of the range? If it's the bottom of the range and we bounce, then you just get chopped up even more. If it's the middle of the range and you partially cut and we go lower, then you're angry. Like there's no good answer. There's no good answer. It's just absolutely brutal. The best thing you could probably do is just wait. Do nothing. Wait until things look a little bit better. And if they don't look better, you do nothing. You continue to do nothing until we break down, right? Jerry guy here, he's laughing. He's 70% cash. He's sitting pretty. Just as the people in BTC have this downside risk, including myself, right? I've BTC here. The people in cash are going to have the opposite problem, where if we break up, where do you buy, right? And so you could buy basically at every single high on the way up. That's super late if we actually break out, but where's your certainty, Like, again, where are you going to buy? Where are you going to sell? Do you buy the bottom of the range? I think if you're in majority cash, you're happy with anything at the bottom of the range, even if we go lower, and then you just keep buying. You're buying every 5,000 down, every 10,000 down, whatever it is for you. Should we break down? VPVR, this is volume profile. There's a support at 52, and then not much until 40, 44, 42. We have a pretty decent resistance level at 63 based on volume. So on the top side, if we can get back to 63 and not get rejected at 63, but hold 63, that would be a good sign. Alternatively, you can also just watch the Williams fractals. Where is it at? Fractals. Wait till everything's bullish on the cloud, and then the fractals just tell you to buy any higher high, basically. I don't know. It's really dependent on your confidence, your sizing, your risk tolerance, all that stuff. That's way more important than like, what am I doing here? It's what am I gonna be doing going forward? I'm only in spot BTC and a little bit of 2x BTC, BITU, and some MSTR. But no leverage. I haven't used leverage on alts in months. I haven't used leverage beyond 2x on BTC in months. Anything else for BTC? I don't think so. And alts just follow BTC, so you get this right, you're probably going to get alts right. The cycle low chart, we're underperforming the previous two cycles so far, so we're kind of late, but we were also very early for a long time and then pulled back in. But again, it's like, okay, this is the time that we should be doing something. Not every cycle needs to be exactly the same, but the more we deviate from this, the more people are going to be saying, okay, maybe this isn't it, maybe this isn't the one, and maybe that's what we need. I don't know, right? I don't know. Maybe there's too many. Maybe the crowded trade is that everybody's already long. I don't know what to tell you. I see both sides of the argument on Twitter all day long, so I don't know what the general populace is as far as positioning. The bears are going to tell you all they see is people who are all bulled up with price targets to infinity, and the bulls are going to tell you all they see is bears. So it just is what it is. But cycle-wise, I'm not too concerned about this just yet. As far as flows are concerned, if we go to the daily flows, there we go. Daily flows have been bearish since the quarterly rollover. Hard to say how much of this is basis trade, momentum trading, people just scared of geopolitical stuff. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't think there's any any discernible pattern here other than, yeah, we've had some outflows. And ETH is still basically a nothing burger. Nothing's going on here. There is a setup on ETH we'll talk about today. There's a bunch of setups on miners we'll talk about today. It's going to be very interesting. Two things I want people to think about. What outperforms here going forward? Solana or MSTR? Solana or MSTR? Let me just pull them up. We'll go Kraken. That's Solana. If we add MSTR, logarithmic. So this might be the pair trade of the election, honestly. Because the logic goes, if Harris is elected, will we get Solana ETFs? What are the odds that we'll get Solana ETFs? Higher or lower? I think the market will perceive it as lower, even though in reality, it may not matter either way. But if Trump gets elected, there's probably a higher perception that these products get launched for alts. MSTR has outperformed, if we go percentage, MSTR has outperformed year to date, I believe, right? Yeah, by a decent amount. Now zooming out even more, it's less of a contest. But this is kind of the issue with alts. They have their run. They suck all these people in that think, okay, we're gonna go to 10,000, and then they don't, and then you're watching this other stuff run laps around you for the rest of the year. And again, it's like, okay, what are you doing with your Solana positioning? I don't know, but looking at this chart, MSTR clear winner relative to Solana, and we can also do this. This does not look good for Sol, right? This is a new multi-month low for Sol against MSTR. So even though Sol and MSTR are both effectively 2x BTC, MSTR has still outperformed since January. It's another like BTC dominance idea, I guess, but MSTR for many people is more accessible than some of this other stuff. Something else to think about is some of these miners. Let's pick a miner just as a pair trade. Not Coors, not Wolf. Is it Mara? IREN? Maybe IREN. If we do like IREN divided by, now let's do ETH divided by IREN. I don't think there's not really anything there. Now the altcoin people are going to tell you, well, you can get yield on ETH, you can get yield on Solana. That's true, but is that really going to matter? I don't think so. The reason I'm pulling both of these up is because if we go to ETH, we are starting to see early signs of a potential triple bottom. Now this isn't a call because the call is at the neckline. So to be clear, not a trade for those of you who are putting my feet to the fire. There's no trade here yet until this is formed. But if we're trying to think about what this could look like, we could get a mess of a triple bottom here. We are in the right shoulder territory, right? So it's kind of do or die a little bit here for ETH if this pattern is real. But it's something to watch throughout the rest of the quarter. Does this pattern complete? Do we get back to 2,700 on ETH? Can we then break out on ETH? Is that when BTC breaks out of its range? So if I'm looking for trades on ETH, this is what I'm staring at every day. What does this look like tomorrow? What does this look like next week? And then we go from there. I wouldn't take a single trade on this until we're back at 2,700 minimum. The cloud likes anything above 3,000. But at the very least, we're starting to maybe establish something here. If you remember FET, right? FET would be an example of something that's a little further along that already broke out a little bit. What's the other one? Is it FTM? Yeah, FTM, similar. Like a lot of these alts are already getting breakouts past their triple bottom way ahead of ETH, way ahead of ETH. So this is something to watch for on ETH. And then do we get flows, right? One will probably follow the other, but it's way too early to say, yeah, this is the bottom, guys. This is the bottom on ETH BTC. You know how many times I've heard that over the past 2 years? Does this look like a chart? Does this look like a chart that wants the bottom? We can say it's oversold. We can say there's a bull div maybe, but this does not look bullish. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. This is what you want. This is the picture you want for ETH BTC. You want some sort of pattern and a move above the 50-week moving average. If we hide the cloud for a second, we're still way below the 50-week. So yeah, you can guess just like you could have guessed at any point in 2018 to 2020. You could have guessed at any point from 2022 to now. But for me, I want to see some strength at the very least. Look how many times it's been denied at the 50-week. If that doesn't happen, then we can say things have changed. But until then, why bother, you know? Just doesn't make sense. And we can also pull up this chart, ETH divided by MSTR. And again, like, it's pretty clear where the trade isn't, where the trade hasn't been. This is basically Bitcoin dominance, right? Basically ETH BTC. Not even close. Not even close to bottoming. And if you think alts are just leveraged BTC, why not just trade the straight leveraged BTC, right? Why not just trade MSTR or leveraged BTC? It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Why you'd bother with ETH here? So yeah, don't be afraid to check these cross pairs because it seems pretty clear to me. Now, if we had a bottom, like back here, we had the ascending triangle. Up here, we had a head and shoulders. If we had any sort of pattern here that made sense, then I'm ready, baby. I'm ready to trade whatever. But this looks horrible, horrific. So just another week of more ETH BTC lows coming up here. Some of the other alts, I mentioned apt yesterday. I added to my personal apt position. Now, I don't view this as like a catch-up trade of Sui or Tau. I just view this as, I like the chart. It's starting to get some strength, starting to get back above the cloud. This is a much cleaner cloud read than BTC is, right? It did really well in 2024, or sorry, Q4 last year into 2024, broke down, has been bearish, went sideways. You know, this is like ABC technical analysis, right? So for me, this is a much easier trade to say, yeah, right? We had a flat bottom, inverted head and shoulders, whatever. Cloud looks good, cloud's breaking out, price is consolidating above the cloud. So this is like textbook cloud stuff that I like. So I still like it, looks good. Not a lot of not a lot of alts look like this. I think, do they have any apt BTC on Kraken? I don't think so. No. The other thing about apt, if we pull it up, apt USD, there we go. On the daily, it also is trying against BTC, right? But again, if you just prefer like leveraged, let's be honest here, right? Leveraged BTC against leveraged BTC, leveraged BTC against MSTR. Also, doesn't look horrible. Looks okay. Looks okay. If it's a 10% chance, for example, of a triple bottom on ETH, you can open a little 10%. Yeah, so KN, I mean, we talked about this. This was 2 weeks back, I think. Someone was asking me about Sol. Like, just because I don't like it, just because the trend doesn't like it, there's always a trade on every chart. Always. It's just a matter of whether or not you think individually that that's a worthwhile endeavor, you know? Let me turn off that. Somebody asked me 2 weeks ago, how would I set up a Sol trade? I like buying strength. I don't like buying weakness. So if you like buying weakness, you're buying the bottom of the range, assuming it's the bottom, right? This strategy is similar to like the Williams fractals. If we're making highs, you want to be adding. You want to be a part of that situation. So for Sol, for apt, for whatever, I always like buying higher, adding higher. So yes, you can always sit in ETH and put a stop loss effectively on this chart, the same place at the low. That's always an option, 100%. But what I would not do is assume that it's going to be a triple bottom, assume it's going to break out, and just go fully sized. I would leg into that as the market proves it's bullish, right? You can always be a hero and say, I think this is the bottom. Anybody can do that. Good luck making money over time doing that. Say looking good. Yeah, I guess we should take a look at the list. So yeah, Sol has this, as does, here's another one. You can look at like Sol against IREN. Just because we are seeing similar stuff, similar inverted head shoulders stuff. Let's go through alts real quick, and then I'll do miners and legacy. Okay, Sol, trend-wise, nothing. We're still in the range. We're still in this huge range. Bottom of the range. Maybe this, right? Maybe, but this is where we are sure, and the cloud is not going to lie to you. The cloud is going to be bullish up there, just like ETH. 160 is the 2700 ETH equivalent. But so far, it's been a nothing burger for Sol. Ripple had good news on ETF front and bad news on SEC appeal. I don't think there's a trade here until it's above 66 cents. I've said that for a little while now. That's all there is to say on Ripple. Not really much else going on there. ETH we just talked about. I like this if it can make the triple bottom and not a moment sooner. SEI, similar to apt. I like the chart. I like that it's been fairly clean on a technical basis. As long as this doesn't continue selling off another 50%, it should eventually pull up above the cloud eventually flipping bullish. It's just a matter of confidence, right? Like, do you want to take a trade here? No, that is not a long trade. A long trade would be much better when we're breaking above the cloud, then breaking down. So that's why I like these charts that look like this here. SUI, we had talked about two things yesterday. Williams fractals, thanks Lord Hamon. Williams fractals to watch, difficult to see on this, but current Williams fractal low is at 166. The Tenkin is at 175. So you're kind of getting warning shots across the bow here that we are losing the trailing stop loss levels. Now, to be fair to SUI, we haven't tripped the 166 level yet. But the issue here is twofold. If you've been long since sub $1, what's your target, if any? You're already up. You're up 80% right now. And then if you wanted to rebuy lows, where do you rebuy? The cloud likes 123. So what makes sense to me, watch the stop losses on the 12-hour. Watch the trailing stop losses. Let those play out. And then roll that back into a long position at like 122 or bids at that level if this pulls back. It was an early mover. It did really well. It's kind of stalled out here. Tao's another one that the trailing stop losses on this have definitely triggered. On the Williams fractals, again, this is hard to see, but there's a fractal right there. Okay, so it's, as of a couple candles ago, telling you get out of that trade. Not only that, the triple bottom measured move was the target. That's where we went to. It's just the range measured higher. So what more do you want right now if you're trading this is my question. Clearly we're not in up only alt season territory. So if you took that trade, it's been a great trade. Doge also quickly giving everything back. Just ugly, right? But it's, again, high time frame, maybe this, right? But to me, again, it's kind of like ABCTA, where we break up, we get a reversal pattern, we break down, we build a reversal pattern, we attempt to break out of that reversal pattern, and then we draw another reversal pattern, potentially. That's TBD, but it's something to watch throughout the quarter. Whiff, and I think I said this 2 weeks ago about, like, take your quick wins and get out of there with a lot of these charts, because it's not alt season, and it's just the market telling you over and over again, like, this is not just like spray and pray season, right? Whiff had a great breakout to the cloud and then pulled back. This also could form a multi-month like triple bottom, right? Sure, why not? I'm curious, what does GME look like right now? Not great. It's just kind of, I mean, it's holding its levels, I guess, but it's going to be interesting to see if GME breaks out either in Q4 or in Q1, and then what do the meme coins do? Like, does one follow the other? Do they break out together? Is GME just dead? I don't know, because I assume it's the same crowd trading both. FTM, this one looks good, like Aptos. None of this stuff's going to be super impressive right now, but yeah, why not? Why not? Looks better than it did up here the last time it was up here. Pepe. some angry scribble. A couple angry scribbles. I still see this possibility. the longer the base, the higher in space, right? Isn't that what they say? So if we can hold these levels into later into Q4, yeah. But these aren't for me now. I like these better at their neckline level. Tesla also, now that we're talking about meme coins, Tesla's kind of a meme company. If we look at this chart, there is a I think it's, do I have it on here? There's this huge IHS on Tesla to watch into 2025. So we can do silly stuff like Doge divided by Tesla, and because I assume again that's the same type of people trading both of these. Doesn't favor Doge here, but just kind of an interesting thought experiment, Tesla looks really good. Tesla looks really, really good. Meme coin charts. I'm not really good with Dex Screener, so I'm gonna avoid that. But you're always looking for the same stuff. It's not like I've got like some secret strategy behind my back here. You're always looking for the same stuff. All right, so it's Pepe. Tao, we talked about PopCat. I got 65,000 requests to talk about this last time. What happened, guys? Nobody, not a single person has asked me about PopCat today. I thought it had real utility. It's done nothing since September 20th. Straight nothing. Aptos we talked about. Link, a lot of these charts, if they don't look as bullish as apt, then it's just a wait. This again could be a triple bottom going into the end of the year. Just needs time. AVAX, similar to Doge, gave it all back. Anything else of interest? Gosp is talking about INJ. Same thing. These are all the same chart. So why would you want to trade all of the same chart just in a different form when you can just focus on strength? Anything else? Bonk? I mean, just it's all the same chart. It's all the same chart. Uh-oh, someone asked about Tezos. Oh man. Let me look at Bowden real quick. I think this was up a bunch, yeah. So this is what you want from the alt meme nonsense charts. This was 2 months of flat. Right? What is this? August to October. This is what you want. So yeah, if you're scanning and paying attention to all these, this is always what you want to see. It was down, hold on, down at nearly 100% since listing. Sat there for a couple weeks and it started again. I was bullish last week on memes, week before. I don't know. You can pull it up. We talked about them. XTZ. I talked about SHIB. I know that. XTZ. The issue with XTZ is, as you can see, this failed head and shoulders that I drew. The issue with Tezos is the only people that care about Tezos are the people who are holding Tezos. And those people are dying off here. So unfortunately, it's not exactly a place where most people want to be. Hyper memization talk at Token 2024. I'll have to find that. Can't buy Pepe on Kraken in the US, really? Yeah, Robbie, we talked about Tia a couple times. It's a matter of confidence in as far as what is a breakout, what is a failed breakout. Is this a reconsolidation attempt? We talked about this. It looked good, and then it just went nowhere, right? Absolutely nowhere. So what's the trade? What's left here on this trade? New lows, low retest, $4 retest. It just doesn't look good. I can tell you that much. I always like this stuff back at the highs way more. So talk to me in like December. What does this look like in December? Right now it doesn't look good. A few others here. GLQ Prime. Prime is on Kraken. It doesn't look like anything. I don't know. Is there anything here? Like you can see the fractal, right? You can see the. I'm not crazy, right? Somebody tell me that. Somebody in chat tell me I'm not crazy. You can see the inverted head and shoulders attempt, the attempted breakout. It's retesting the neckline, so I guess this is a decent place to add to the position, but I don't know. I don't know anything about this coin. Ave's been kind of a dud. I said this a couple weeks ago, but if you're trading alts, if you're trading leverage, you want that momentum. Like you want to be sure that you have the momentum. Somebody asked me, I was on a Real Vision spot yesterday. We were talking about MSTR versus MSTU, and it's the same story. Like if you're sitting in leverage, you want momentum. You want to be sure that you have momentum. So does this look bearish on the daily? It does not, but it's also been a complete mess basket case for a long time. I don't know. It looks okay. I don't have anything super exciting to say about it. Any more alts before we move on here? TLDR, alts need BTC to not be bearish. That's all they need. They don't need BTC going to infinity. In fact, they'd prefer that not to happen. But they don't want bearishness. Dominance, by the way, back to 58%. I just think it's hilarious because it's been clear. Cowen, of course, has been all over this for a while, but anybody looking at this chart, honestly, has said to themselves, yeah, it's not the time for alts yet. It's just not. So it's just funny to see people like fighting it. GLQ, is that every week it's a new coin. It's amazing. I guess we'll go here. Graph link. Kind of similar to Aptos and a few of the others we talked about. Like it looks better than ETH. You can't deny that. It looks better than Sol. You can't deny that. So does it look great on its own? Not really. Does it look great against BTC? Looks okay against BTC. Looks okay. Double bottom, trying to hold on to these highs. Might break out later on in the year. Looks okay. Obviously, it had a ridiculous run. I mean, it looks like a pump and dump just over and over and over again. So this would be the third pump and dump. PRQ. Oh man. What is this? Kind of like everything, it clearly bottomed, broke out, came right back. Had a huge rising wedge here. Just middle of the road. Not really much to say. Chris, if we break out, yeah, I like six-figure attempt minimum. Yes, the leaf blowers, they're just all nonstop. Green Satoshi token. Well, it's at multi-month lows. I mean, you know what I'm gonna say. If you like this coin, there's always this trade. There's always this trade. This kind of reminds me of PayPal, honestly. There's your target. Here's whatever this is. Where is it? Maybe this is some sort of falling wedge thing. And you say stop loss at, this is not financial advice, of course, but if you were trying to make a trade set up for this, oh my God, what is this? Entry, where's the stop level is, okay. Depending on how tight you want your stop loss level. Anything down there? Any new lows, right? It has defined risk reward. Why not? Why not? Now, do I think this trade is going to work out? I don't. But you could take the trade. Sure, why not? Why not? Sui price prediction? I have no idea, dude. I have no idea. Best case for this is honestly a cup and handle into 2026. So like 4 to 7 into 2026. So you're looking at like something like this, and then a breakout at $2, which may or may not happen. But sure. Last one, GST. What is? Oh, we looked at that. Just kidding. Okay, miners. So the timestamps are clean. Miners have a potential triple bottom setup just like alts do. Unsurprisingly, they're both leveraged to BTC, right? So most of the miners have this, which is agreeing with the cloud. Bullish daily breakout pending above 20. This is WGMI, the ETF. Cores looks nothing like any of the other miners. It's still holding up there at all-time highs. Looks great. Wolf also looks very different than most of the miners. Both Cores and Wolf have HPC AI stuff, data center stuff going on. Wolf still looks okay. It looks more bullish than most of the other miners. Doesn't look terrible. I don't know if there's a great trade here, but it doesn't look terrible. CleanSpark easily looks the worst out of the miners in the group here. You could maybe see this later in the year, but this is what I'm worried about. Or something like that. You know, some sort of gross nonsense. You know, losing the daily cloud, bad. Losing the pitchfork, bad. Below the cloud, bad. So we can say this is oversold. We can say there's a bull div, whatever. You can give me some hash rate estimates. I don't care. This is not a bullish chart. Even if it bottoms here, it does not look like that it's trend bullish, right? Obviously. IREN has the triple bottom stuff potentially to watch for. So let me just set alerts at there for that. Let me set an alert at the cloud for WGMI at 20. Mara also has a very clean setup here. Building, brewing, stewing. It would be 18 would be the level there to watch. Riot, similar to CleanSpark, just looks horrible, but something to watch into the end of the year. Bitfarms, again, you can see like this fractal attempt, maybe more of a triangle, but it's not bullish yet. Definitely not bullish yet. Cypher also has this maybe right into October, deep into October. Put an alert on that one. BT has held the range. So I like how this range looks, but it's still, like everything else, kind of just consolidating. So I think it looks better than most of the miners that aren't cores and aren't Wolf. Hut also has this thing, right? Not yet completed. So it'll be interesting. Do the miners break out first? If they break out, does ETH break out first? Do they all break out together? Does MSTR break the range? Does Solana break the range, right? These are all questions to think about for the quarter. Hive just looks like a mess. It probably has this. What's going on here? It's just all over the place. These others don't matter. What was I just going to bring up? I thought about something. Anyway, that's the miners. We can look at futures. BTC futures look okay. They look like everything else, just Chop City. Chop City on the cloud, all over the place. IBIT also trying to have a cloud breakout. Eventually, maybe. So I would watch that as well. Into the rest of the month. BitX back into this gross looking range. Again, you've got maybe this, maybe, right? Maybe. MSTR honestly is the best looking chart in crypto because it's holding the range back above the cloud, just below basically all-time highs. This one is set up the best. So if we get a breakout, I like 300, 400. That's the next level. 300, 400. It's up 80-20. Someone asking me about their meme folio. I have no idea, dude. have no idea, right? You know, it works out if BTC goes to 80, your meme folio is going to do great. If BTC goes to 40, your meme folio is going to be down 50%. So, right? Anybody can take anything. What's up, Nomad? Anything. I'm wearing the shirt. I'm wearing the shirt. The hoodie. Whale calls. You can take any trade anywhere, right? You could take any amount of leverage anywhere. Now you're not going to get margin called on spot meme coins, but don't expect meme coins to do well if BTC breaks down, right? So yeah, back to MSTR. It's hard to argue how strong this looks. Very, very strong. If we draw one of these things, anything above 180, and you're probably good to go. But this looks very ready to go higher. I don't think this would break out before BTC, but definitely something to keep on your radar. Definitely. Andrew, I talked about Link. It's kind of like a sadder looking ETH to me right now. But this chart looks great. So of course a lot of people are like, okay, I'm loading the boat on MSTX. Yeah, like you could. But just like your meme folio, if MSTR keeps ranging or if it breaks down, you're going to get wrecked on MSTX, MSTU. So you just got to be careful. Coin is trading like ETH and like CleanSpark. It just looks horrifically awful. This could do one of these things like everything else, right? But man, it does not look good. Losing the daily cloud, bad sign. You do not want to ever lose the daily cloud on anything. So yeah, that's that, right? you basically want this back above 210. How does this look on the weekly? Not great. 3-day, not great. Yeah, just it's really, really awful. Yeah, it looks like CleanSpark, right? Would you rather trade this or MSTR? To me, it's no contest. We can even do coin divided by MSTR. That is an ugly looking chart. Just like the gif of the person diving into the abyss. That's what this looks like. Does not look good. Does not look good. If Harris gets elected, this probably easily goes to new all-time lows, I'd imagine, you know, based on regulatory stuff. So that's another thing to think about. Another little thought experiment on that pair trade. PayPal was what I was going to bring up earlier when I said that that chart looked like PayPal. PayPal still looks fine. They had some stablecoin announcement today. It looks like they're leaning into the crypto side of the business a little bit. So, what's up, Vainsky? Expecting the fills to go to... I'll get to that in a second. Chart-wise, PayPal looks great. Looks better than most alts, right? It was literally down... What was this? It was down 85%. Held the flat sideways bottom, which is what you want to see, back above the cloud. What else can you ask for? Do you know if this is going to go to 100 plus? I have no idea. But it looks a hell of a lot better here than it did for the past 3 years, right? As far as the fills, are you ready for the, if they go to the World Series and win, it's a recession calls? Because those are coming. Those are coming. Are you worried when when the inflation rate increasing so quickly and trueflation just after a cut? Not sure if I talked about that yet. Yeah, trueflation has picked up. We can pull that up real quick. It's picked up, and I wonder. You wonder how much of this is sniffing out the longshoreman strike the geopolitical stuff, the Red Sea stuff. I have no idea, right? Or is this, like you said, is this just post rate cut, things lifting off again? I think we can all agree we don't want to see deflationary number. We don't want to see like a negative CPI. As much as everybody doesn't like inflation, a negative CPI or a negative trueflation reading would probably guarantee a recession, because that just means you're squeezing everybody so much that nobody can afford anything, you know. So Goldilocks is 2% ish, where we're not falling off a table. And if we look back to post-COVID, pre-COVID, you know, we're in the range, right? Back to the macro people conversation, they love to say, oh man, inflation is going to reinvigorate. It's going to go to 10% again. If that happens, we'll see it real time, right? The Fed's bringing rates down, so you don't expect inflation to continue to push lower, I wouldn't think. So I don't know, just got to watch this one. But yeah, it is curling up again. One other thing about this, they did adjust the, I don't know if they adjusted the basket. They adjusted something the other day. Did they do a blog on it? I didn't look into what they did, but they did change weightings, or they changed the basket because it went from like 1.25 to 1.5. Anyway, but they are constantly updating this. But yeah, you know, what we don't want to see is this going back to 10. Obviously, oil up isn't helping either. Coin is BTC in 2017. I just don't know why. Why would you fool around with coin until it's alt season, unless you're convinced alt season is coming? I just don't understand, like, why bother, you know? There was a great trade on this from 76 to 260. But after that, it's kind of done a bunch of nothing. It had a chance, just like SMCI, right? We can pull up SMCI, if I can pull up the ticker. And this is a trade I took. That's how I know it happened. SMCI tried to break out a few times, but the moment this broke below the cloud, I was out. I was done. And good thing I did, because man, it's just been straight down ever since then for a variety of reasons. But this is why the cloud, you can't mess with the cloud, man. When you see this type of move, you got to take it seriously. Square also just looks okay. It's kind of one of these things. I don't know what it's going to take for this thing to do well, but it could, right? It looks decent enough. It looks decent enough. Some of the other names, someone asking about Uber. I still like Uber here a lot. I like it all the way down to 70, 68. I think it's fine. I'm not worried about it. As far as the rest of the Mag 7 is concerned, NVIDIA is holding, if I can find the chart. Yeah. NVIDIA on the crypto or legacy cloud, NVIDIA has been like a master class on cloud stuff really since the breakout. Only briefly has it been below the daily cloud since 2023. Just once recently. So it's consolidated above the cloud. That's a good sign. It's put in this diagonal. You could argue triangle. You could argue, I'm going to argue this probably. You could argue a bunch of stuff. But ultimately, it needs to make a higher high. You can see the cloud there, like resetting. It's basically zeroing out any momentum. And that's what the triangle formation is basically telling you as well. We can turn on the B-bands for this. B-bands are bullish, right? So we're consolidating above the B bands tightening. They're not as tight as they were back here. If I had to take a trade on this today, it would be a long. Your stop loss would be the diagonal or the cloud, but it has done well up here. Now it hasn't made highs, but it's trying to, for sure. Always been fighting the narrative, change the definition and the contents. Well, Joey, I don't think Trueflation is left-leaning or pro-government. I get the sense that they are very much pro-Trump, pro-populist, whatever they are. I don't really care. It's important to like understand where they're coming from. But yeah, I don't get the sense that they are they're like juicing the numbers to make them look better. Apple also kind of waiting for this breakout situation. Meta already broke out of its ascending triangle. Microsoft also just a ton of chop. You know, what is this? I have no idea. Just as it was I don't even know. Depending on how you want to draw this whole thing could be a diamond top. It looked like it tried to cancel the head and shoulders. I don't know. It's all over the place. It's all over the place. Doesn't really look like a clean trade whatsoever. Netflix, I'm kind of sick of talking about. So I have no idea what anybody does with this other than just ignore the price and keep buying based on the looks of this chart. Maybe this. I don't know. I literally have no idea. Not for me. Amazon, to me, looks like Microsoft. Just no trade, chop. And because the Mag 7 are doing a bunch of nothing, the Qs are also doing a bunch of nothing. There's just nothing going on here. You've got the bears like doing victory laps. And why, you know? Like we're what, like 2% from all-time highs or something? It doesn't look terrible. It just doesn't look like a trade setup to me per se. The S&P also just sort of sitting at highs. I think it's totally fine that it cools off. It bounced super hard, super quick. So it would make sense to let the moving averages catch up a little bit to me. Just saying the government plays the same game. Oh, 100%. Government, the Fed massages, you know, they do whatever they want for the narrative. But yeah, I don't think Trueflation is doing any of that on purpose to make the numbers look one way or the other. Lemonade, what is Lemonade? Is that the streaming service? I forget what this is. Or is this insurance? I always forget. It's kind of like Square, where it's been consolidating for 2-3 years, and you want this living at highs rather than the lows. But here's a better time to take a stab than 140. You know, it's down. It's down 90% from the highs. So it's up to you, right? Is it a trade for me? No, but yeah, it's there. Like Square. How do I manage my positions when you reach your fib targets? I reduce the position. I reduce the position. Do I have Hood on here somewhere? I think Hood is a good example of that, because this is always the dream. This is just ABCTA stuff. You have a massive mega range for years. You take the fib measurements. The most obvious place it starts to slow down is the 1618 to the measured move, and that's where you reduce the position. So that's what I did. You this is always what you want to see. So for BTC, if you're trading leverage, depending on where you want to measure these fibs, it'd be the same story. Are you looking at the W or are you looking at farther back? Let's just take this. Let's assume we break up. Strictly using the fibs, you're starting to take profits up here, or you're watching the trailing stop loss levels. If you want to compare two charts, just do Microsoft and Amazon. Yeah, they both look similar, so that would make sense. That makes sense. What else we got on the legacy side? Google, I guess. Like, we also have this stuff, sure. I think everybody's kind of large teched out up here. I think they're all looking at this saying the valuations are too high. The relative performance is better elsewhere. EM, China, small caps, private markets. This would be something to watch for, unlike a lot of these charts, right? Later on into 2025 or 2024. Would I go back in if the chart looked okay? Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends. If we take this recent example, so this was a trade that I took. This was the inverted head and shoulders thing. That was the breakout. I was adding to leverage BTC here. I didn't do anything here. And we were way past the target. I didn't close my BitX, I don't think, until like up here that I had from down here. So yeah, you can always do nothing. You know, if it looks good, you want to just let your winners ride. That's how we win at this game. So it just depends, you know, depends. Okay, what was I talking about? Mag 7, Uber. Did I mention IGV? I don't know. I'm just here to show my bags, guys. IGV looks great. Looks fine. Looks like it has a decent move down the line here versus SMH. That's just kind of flat, right? It's basically NVIDIA. G, and is this a minor? What is this? Looks okay. Looks okay. Is this like I'm guessing it's some sort of minor thing. It looks okay. Doesn't look super exciting. Uranium. Yeah, there's really been a nuclear resurgence lately, hasn't there? I don't really think I have anything great to say about uranium. It's back to the cloud. Huge bounce off of 37. I don't know. I don't have great things to say about it. Just kind of mediocre. Yeah, so I mean, I'm looking at fibs and I'm looking at trailing stop losses. The reason I didn't close that Bitcoin trade was because the daily Williams fractals, right, were not triggered, were not tripped fractals. So breakout here, you don't get a fractal until February 17th. Get another fractal on the 23rd. You get more fractals up here, and then we finally break down at 67, 68. So ideally, we get another clean breakout like that to wherever up here. It's tough. This is tough because there isn't like a clean setup. I don't think that everybody's looking at, because there's just so many different levels you can measure fibs from. It's like where are we going to measure from? You know, where are we going to measure the low from? Do we really want the August 5th low? I don't think so. If we take the most generous interpretation, then we get that 6-figure target. So yeah, right. We went through this last stream, I think, but there's a level here, depending on how you measure this. There's a level here. So I could see a pit stop in the 70s, high 70s, and then maybe a move higher. So that's how I use fibs plus trailing stop losses for targets. And you've got the yearly pivots, which are great as well. I haven't talked about yearly pivots much because we've just been in this range, but the yearly pivots don't lie, for sure. If we break up, 80.7 isn't going to be an important level, as is 98.7. 52.5 has been a very important level on the way up and on the way down. So if you're bearish, you want us to break 52.5, which, duh, that's a new low. But yeah, those are the levels I'd watch if we break out. Mom is prepping for civil unrest, is asking for your thoughts on spot silver. Spot silver. Looks fine. Very choppy, but it looks fine. If we take this head and shoulders thing, I assume that's where this target comes from. Up here. I assume that's where it comes from. I don't actually know. It looks fine. It's funny because people would rather sit in something like Tezos, not to throw out the Tezos guy under the bus. People would rather sit in losses for years than sit in winners. You know, I'm not calling out Precious's mother here, but you know, it's like there's nothing worrisome here about the silver chart. The gold chart looks a lot more overextended to me, and you could say we're in this multi-year move, fine, but back to Hodl Potato's question about fractals versus fibs versus what do the pivots look like for this? The next pivot is 27. So on the weekly gold chart, we haven't actually tripped any of the trailing fractals, stop loss fractals. There have only been 2 at 22.85. And you don't have any closer fractal. We're in the top end of the measured move, and this was the kind of the generous interpretation of this. So I don't like opening new longs up here. Definitely not. I would probably go down to like, is the daily appropriate? There's the 3-day, the 2-day or the 3-day. It's just tough when you get this parabolic stuff because like the SUI chart, you kind of have to go way down to get your levels, and then you get messy trailing stop losses. So between the trailing stop losses and the fibs, yeah, the fibs are telling you I wouldn't continue adding up here, and I wouldn't not close any. I would close something up here. That's what the fibs are saying for gold. You. It just looks like a mess, you know. No, I got nothing. I got absolutely nothing on that. Yeah, Jack likes the weirdest stuff. He also likes LTC a lot, which I don't get. Um, I don't know. I don't know about that one. Any other last minute legacy charts before we get out of here? AXON. Oh man. What is this? Axon Enterprise. Is this like they make tasers and body cameras? Okay. I was gonna say defense contractor, and that's basically what they are. I mean, depends on your entry, right? It had like Nvidia did. It had a pretty clear breakout there. I don't know about all the way up here. What's the measured move from this? So we're past that already. If I'm still long this, I like 388 as a trailing stop loss. It's a crazy chart. Crazy looking chart. Any thoughts on solar broadly? Yeah, you could use it as like a Harris hedge. If depending on your view of the election and how markets will react, I assume solar does better under Harris than Trump. I assume. Another one we can look at is like EVAV, which is leveraged electric vehicle ETF. This has some Chinese companies. It has Tesla. So it's done well recently from the Chinese exposure, Chinese holdings. It has this huge falling wedge. A lot of this is just decay from volatility drag, but it's trying to bottom, right? You can't deny that. Can't deny that. I expect electric vehicles to do better under Harris than Trump, but people thought Obama would be bad for energy, and he was really good for energy, whereas Trump was bad for energy. Mainly because it was basically like anybody, drill baby drill, right? You know, anybody can do anything. You thought I'd like the EVAV chart or something else? Election implications notwithstanding solar. We can look at like Lucid. I know this isn't solar, but it's, I don't know, solar adjacent, right? I lost it. LCID. Yeah, I guess Lucid doesn't look as good anymore. Never quite held that breakout. Didn't quite hold the breakout. What was the other one? Yeah, SPPP. Silver, this is platinum palladium. It's like, you know, it's been bearish for years here. It's back above the cloud. It looks better at 10 than it did at 20, right? Is it a great trade? I don't know. Oh, reminds you of Costco. Yeah, 100%. 100%. What is the other? I'm blanking on the defense contractor. Halliburton? No, what's the other one that I just saw? There's another one that looks like Axon where it's just like, just straight up to infinity right now. Is it? It starts with an L-O. Lockheed Martin, that's it. Lockheed. There we go. Wild. just up only, baby. There's your up only right there. Yeah, Lockheed. Curious, with BTC ETFs, can you see the crypto space becoming much like legacy? Yeah, a few people have asked me this question in a few different ways. You can always look at futures for crypto for like spot BTC, I think it's pretty clearly lately that the legacy side is driving the spot side. So I do think the futures chart is very relevant, maybe more so than the spot chart. So yeah, you know, I wouldn't ignore it. I wouldn't ignore the clouds on the legacy side, but it's all it is just default doubled. It's not like anything crazy other than that. All right, I don't know if we got much else. I think that's it for now. Talked about everything. I guess bonds I can pull up real quick. The TA on bonds still looks okay. The issue's just the debt load and the issuance problem, you know. The long bond stuff, we just keep issuing infinity debt. So can this actually go higher? Can rates come down, right? And the second thing is we're already pricing in a 2-year at 3.5 today. So unless the market thinks we're going below that, it's going to be hard for the bond stuff to continue to do as well on the price appreciation side. You can see that SHI here almost reached the measured move, or almost reached the 1618 and then pulled back. Almost. This will react to jobs numbers, it'll react to inflation expectations, it'll react to recession expectations, it'll react to FOMC. But the meat of the trade on the 2-year looks to be done. The next step would be recession or not, and on the longer end, what does that look like for TLT? We can always do BTC divided by TLT, and it should be a pretty bullish chart. I say that and am completely wrong. It has been bullish. It's just another one of these wedges on the downside. So anyway, I think that's all I got for today. We did a good review here. Roblox, real quick. I still like this chart. I like where it sits. I like, you know, it's not everything's going to break out instantly at those exact levels. It still looks fine to me. I'm still holding my position. I have no issues there. Yeah, let's revisit. It's been some time. Does this look any better? I don't think it looks any better. I don't think it looks any better. I mean, it's trying. It's trying to do something. Just, I don't know. I don't have a great opinion on what goes on here. If this can hold and if we can break out of the range, yeah, sure. But to just assume that's going to happen here, I think is tough. But that's definitely something to watch into the weekend for sure. All right, that's all I got for this one. Like this, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And I'll see you guys for Setup Sunday. Thanks, everybody.